Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're about an hour later than usual. It's 11:30 here on the East Coast. It is the 17th episode of the Outdoor Cameraman Experience, and we have Justy Lorenzo here and Jake Latondras, and we are Latondras Media Collective. Jake, you are joining us from the wild backcountry of Nebraska.
I am. I'm in western Nebraska, actually very close to the Platte River. It's right out the window here. And if we have technical issues, it's my fault because I'm on a remote. I'm actually doing this show on my phone. So hopefully we won't have any technical issues. But if we do, it's my fault. I take full responsibility.
Yeah, all complaints go to Jake. So, what are you doing out there in Nebraska?
I'm
Oh,
and what did you lose me?
we can hear you, but you keep you're like, "Hi, my name is
Ah,
Jake. I'm in Nebraska."
oh no.
We'll wait till
Can
you
you
come back on.
still hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah. You pause for a while. Today we have an awesome guest. We have Ben Potter from McKenna Outdoors, really, really accomplished photographer and cinematographer, videographer, filmmaker, etc. So we're really excited to bring him on today. We're going to talk about some projects that he's been working on, talk about just everyday real life struggles of trying to work in this industry and be a normal person at the same time. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring Ben in. Let's see. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well this morning. Everything going good? Where are you coming from today?
So I live in a city called San Luis Obispo, California, and yeah, it's kind of like the central coast of halfway between LA and San Francisco, and yeah, so
Nice. I think everybody who thinks of California, we just think of like palm trees and the hills. So
yeah,
you've got a pretty awesome like variations of habitats out there, right?
yeah. It's kind of it's very different here. I mean, really from anything. I mean, California is pretty diverse in a lot of ways, but you know that. I mean, if you go, where I grew up, about 4 hours north of here, in the east of the Bay Area. And it's very like an ag area, a lot of different kind of farming going on, and then if you go even farther north than that, it feels like Nevada or Montana in some places. It's just very diverse and mountainous. But where I live now, it's we're about 10 miles from the ocean, and there's a lot of wildlife. I mean, it's a college town. I came here for school, and I went
Any
to a
state?
school called Cal Poly, and when I finally graduated 5 years later, I started this business while I was in school, and I just thought this is a pretty cool place to live, and so I just a lot of my work is on the road and out of town, so it works out where I can make this home and travel, fly out of here. But yeah, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's our mountains are, I guess, about 2,500 feet up from sea level. I live at about 80 feet elevation. So, where it's got a little bit of everything, there's, yeah, and we got some big game. We chase blacktails. It's
Nice.
really, really hard. I suck at it, but do that. And, turkeys and, quail and a lot of upland and a little bit of waterfowl here, but most of the waterfowl is east. And, yeah, but I do a lot of spearfishing too. I mean, or not as much as I like, but I do a little bit of that and a little different pursuit of hunting. But yeah, it's very diverse for sure, and that's the part why I like living here. I love it when I get to travel and get in the south and shoot ducks in a totally different place, or get in the mountains of Wyoming or Montana or Idaho and
Hmm.
chase animals there. But when I come home, it always kind of hits me. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing like this place, and it's
That's awesome.
kind of cool to call this home.
Where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from the East Bay Area, Northern California, and it's really different from here. I mean, it's really busy now. I mean, when we moved to this little town called Brentwood, California, it was like 4,000 people, and it's really small now. It's over 100,000 people, and
Wow.
it's crazy. So it's pretty night and day. So every time I go up, my folks still live in the Bay Area. Every time I visit them, and like, wow, I couldn't do this. It's just crazy. I mean, California in general is kind of a mess of people. So many people live here, and there's actually a lot of hunters. I mean, I hear statistics sometimes that say like there's more license sales than any other state for hunting, and I don't know if that's true or not, and who knows. But it definitely feels like it when I'm out in the field. I mean, there's a lot of people hunting. I think per capita, it's the least amount of sales. But yeah, it's I grew up north and came south for school and stayed here, and here I am. Trying to.
So can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me
Yeah.
and see me okay?
Yep, you're back.
I'm going to try to get a question in there before I get kicked off again. Ben, I want to make a comment about you and your work and all that in the outdoor space.
Yeah.
You're a very highly respected film producer.
Appreciate that.
Your work is very, very unique. It's got a very raw and edgy look to it.
Thank
And really want to talk to you about, like, where'd you get your style? Where do you get your influence and style from? Because it's very unique, and I think that's one of the things that makes you stand out.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot, coming from you especially. I mean, I really respect your work as well, both of you. And, boy, I don't know. I mean, I think style is, I think it's something that, we all kind of just, you do what you like, and as somebody back in the day, when for where it started for me, if I give just a real quick summary of where it began, I was going to school at the school called Cal Poly here in SLO, and we call it SLO. And my neighbor was getting married. I think I was a sophomore in college, and he's like, "Hey, would you want to film my wedding? I heard you shoot video stuff sometimes." And I got $300.
So fun.
I got $300, and I'm like, "Yeah, $300 sounds awesome." Like, I don't have $300 in my pocket, at all. So I mean, let's do this. And so I shot it on my little handy cam, and that was kind of the kickstart of where I saw a business opportunity. It's like, all right, people are getting married all the time. It's not that hard. Let's do this. And that played into, kind of, I don't know, like, weddings, there's a lot of pressure at certain moments. You kind of got to be on point at certain points. And hunting, it's interestingly similar. You really got to, you might have that moment only a few times, or if not once, and maybe 7 days, and you got to be ready and all put together and not get too excited. And so I think that it's obviously played a big role in, our style of the weddings. And it's still part of our company. We still shoot a handful of weddings a year. Actually, my business partner's heading over to Maryland this weekend, and we just got back from Kentucky. And, so it's still something that we're stoked to do. And I think we kind of take a similar approach to weddings, where we just want to shoot it as raw and real as possible, and try not to over cinematize the shot to where it becomes just, you lose the skin on the film, and so I'll give this little detail. In high school, I used to film a lot of squirrel hunting. Personally, I got some squirrel hunting films that I would be extremely embarrassed to share with you.
Now you've opened up a can of worms, buddy, because now we have to see one of them.
I have a private link I could send you, but I'm pretty sure
that didn't come over in the show photo email.
No, it didn't. If I was to send you the link and it went public, I'm pretty sure
you'd have to kill me.
Hate me forever. So, but it's quite. We ended up. It starts. Shooting them with my 22-250, and then eventually migrate to bow hunting squirrels and pinning them to trees. And so I'll stop there. But so that's where I. That's kind of where I started. Yeah, it's cool. Just really stupid, but I mean, I had fun doing it, and a rancher was like, "Yeah, kill them all, please." Then I started hunting coyotes and calling them in, and grew up duck hunting. That was kind of the core of what I was raised in. For whatever reason, my dad hung up bow hunting in the late '60s, and I asked him recently, like, why why don't you bow hunt? It's all you used to do. And why don't you bow hunt? You know, when I came around, he's like, oh, I just got tired of eating deer. I was like, well, crap. I would have loved to grow up bow hunting. And now I'm 35 and trying to figure it out. I'm like, shoot, man, killing me here. Anybody. But yeah, back to filmmaking, you know, or whatever. I guess style. I don't know. The stuff that resonates with me is when I feel like, sounds super cliche to say, like I feel like I'm there, but I feel like I feel something that's real. You know, when I watch something that's like, and as a filmmaker, you're kind of jaded because you're like, oh, they did this and they did that and they did this in post and they did this rig and they did, you know, you get kind of jaded toward the stuff that's over the top, not real, you know, and you're like, it's pretty, but that's it, you know? So I guess I like really try to, I don't know, I like water on my lens and I like every shot not looking perfect. And, you know, I think I really kind of resonate with like documentary style, the documentaries that aren't really so planned and kind of take a curveball or are a challenge, the filmmaker's challenge to tell a story that's not what he thought he was going to tell, you know, like, I think I like that where you're off script a little bit. And, I think those are the ones that get me kind of like more, I don't know, they stir me up more where I'm like, wow, there's a real, I don't know, real struggle, real, I don't know, the filmmaker's challenge as well as the story is challenging to tell. That stuff's rad. And obviously, you know, what I think I love about outdoor filmmaking is like, man, you're put through the hardest environments. I mean, I've had to film in negative 44 degrees before where I thought my fingers were all going to be done and camera was just shutting off randomly. And, you know, I love that kind of stuff because it's like, man, no one does this, you know, it's like no one, I mean, you feel that as a hunter in general, you'll be in scenarios where like, who sees this? You know, no one, like, especially where I live in California. I'm like, people are like, so how many did you catch? You know, you're like, God damn, I just want to slap you. Go to prison after or get sued. But, you know, it's like you people just don't get it a lot of times. And I think I kind of like that, you know, you're getting as a hunter, you get to experience the outdoors and in a way that most people don't, because you're off the trail, you're not at a campground, you're really engaging with wildlife in a way that few do. And then when you try to capture that, it's like a whole nother layer of like, I guess, investment and intimacy with your job and, you know, the experience out there. But so yeah,
some of that rawness, you know, you're talking about that you apply to your work really comes out, you know, it comes out real. And I think,
awesome.
you know, that resonates particularly heavy in your new film that you just dropped yesterday with Tangle Free,
Oh, cool.
the Charlie Show.
Awesome.
Yeah, I actually watched it. I just had a chance. had a good phone feed last night, and I watched it last night.
Cool.
And really enjoyed it. You know, there's a lot of rawness, a ton of rawness to that.
Yeah.
And again, I think that was one of the really unique things about it, that it comes across real. What inspired you to do the Charlie Barberini story?
The good folks at Tangle Free introduced me to him, and I think I had, you know, followed him just shenanigans on Instagram, and you know, you kind of can tell when you, even from a distance, you know, what guys are kind of like just the real deal, are hunting public land and private. I mean, I got nothing. Someone invites me to private, I'm pumped. You know, I'm not going to turn that down. But
sure,
I grew up like just kind of grinding it out here in California in our public system. I mean, it's busy, and if you don't get drawn to hunt a duck hunting refuge, then you do what's called a sweat line. I don't know if they do that anywhere else in the country, but it's basically this other line that once all the reservations get into an area, then they start processing slowly, you know, those people. And so me and my dad, you know, ever since he started getting me out when I was 3, and he pulled me out, and we would, you know, it's really a rush. It's like it is what it sounds like, and And I don't know, people that I see that kind of come from those roots get me. I don't know. I feel like I resonate more with them, and their style of hunting. It's just like, we didn't come from a place where we just had the privilege of having private to just walk on and not feel like someone else was going to move in on you, or you got to really do your homework and figure out where they're going to be. And so Charlie, that kind of dude, and he's all over it. He's guiding in Alaska, and then he's guiding in Kansas, and he's hunting in California. And I don't know, being a Bay Area guy too. I'm originally from the Bay Area, so I don't know. It's like this guy would be a cool guy to do a story with. So the more I talked with Tangle Free about him, I was like, let's do a little film on this guy, and I don't know. I was like, let's just call it the Charlie Show because it just sounds corny, and he's no celeb, but I was kind of, I don't know, kind of maybe making it out more than what it really is. It's just he's just a good guy that loves to hunt, and so I don't know. There's no real profound edge to the story except that I just love this guy's style, and I wanted to do a film on him, and I think that sometimes it's cool. I love it when you get to watch a story that's like really, when you get to watch stories really like profound, and there's a heavy thing that you learn or that you witness about something they've gone through in their journey. But sometimes it's nice to just watch an awesome hunting adventure, and get back to just like, sometimes we just enjoy a solid little hunt, filmed well, and that's fun, And
One of the cool things I liked watching about it was, I mean, like you said, it's a hunting story. You can kind of anticipate where it's going. There was no like crazy twist, but one of the neat things that I found was you really paired the soundtrack like super unique with it. I can't remember the last time I heard classical music in a hunting film, and then you end it with this like soulful Motowny hipster song. It was just it made me smile at the end. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sweet. I really enjoyed it. It was a good
awesome.
film.
You score a lot of your own music, Ben?
Yeah, so that's really about
thought,
99% is scored. That last funk song is from the 60s, I think. So I licensed that one off Music Bed, but everything else in there is our music, and all of our films. I mean, I don't personally. I'm not very musical, but my business partner Drew, who's not here yet, but he's like used to be in a hardcore band and just super talented. And it's really funny. Like way back in the day, I always felt really, I guess, convicted about just using music without permission or licensing. I don't know. It's just maybe part of that's just fear of getting caught. But I don't know. The people making music are working extremely hard and putting in a lot of hours to make that music. And I don't know. It just seemed. In a lot of industries, people just don't seem to care about that. And you're like, dude, these people are artists too. Just like very
that's their work, that's their art.
Yeah. It's just very hypocritical for us to be like, yeah, we're artists and we're out filming and whatever. And then you just blow someone else's work off like that. It doesn't really matter.
It's disrespectful.
That happens to us like fairly often. People will send me a link. Oh, dude, did you see this? And you're like, man, it just bums me out that like people don't see the whole picture, the creative picture. So I mean, we've been like fortunate. Drew has always made music, and at one point, I found all this instrumental music on his computer, and I was like, "Hey, what's all this?" Oh, I don't know, I just made that. I'm like, what? You just made it? I was like, you're thinking maybe we could use it, yeah. And so now he's like scoring tracks for certain films, and even we'll get to know as he gets to know the film, and he's not a hunter, so he'll like, kind of explain to him kind of the vibe I'm going for, or sometimes he'll come up with an idea for a song and just make it. It's crazy. I mean, he's extremely talented. And so, I mean, there's some of his music we actually license through a website called Marmoset, and you can get some stuff there. But and then, but that's
a huge asset for you guys to have your own music to use. I mean, because
the hardest part sometimes.
Oh man,
spend more time finding music than it takes to edit something.
Yeah,
and someone's not going to have a video come up 6 months from now that'll have the same music
Right.
track to it. It's always going to be unique.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And I think it's I know it's a big. We see it as like just as much a part of the film as the filming that goes into it. And so, like
No question.
Drew, like for one, I mean, he had a gnarly motorcycle accident like a few years ago, and so he's actually can't. He used to backpack a lot, but he can't really get deep in like physically, on a shoot with me. So a lot of times I'll be backcountry or wherever filming on the road, and then but he's working here at a different level on music and producing something, and so it's cool. It's a good team. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I couldn't do any of this if we didn't have the team that we have. We have a small team, but it's you guys know it's like you can't. It's just a lot to, and I feel like it's nice to have someone else like, especially I like having a non-hunter watch my films and be like, what do you think of that? Do you know what this is about, or is this just me?
Keeps it clean.
Yeah.
And you can transcend into this market that we're trying to attract as a hunting industry to keep it going, to gain viewership from somebody who would normally bulk at something hunting, and they can see a piece of art and understand a story better. And so that's awesome. How did you guys initially get together?
So we let me think here. So he's originally from this area, the Central Coast here in California, and he had a small business doing very similar work, and I was doing weddings, and we're both doing weddings, and we both kind of had like a similar style. Our styles are a little bit different, but similar enough. And I was actually at the time I was kind of getting overwhelmed with the wedding world, and I think I had been at it for like 4 years. I started my business in 2004.
I'm on like year 8.
Oh, yeah. Oh, are you guys?
She's just rolling her eyes like,
oh gosh.
Oh.
I started years 2004.
I shouldn't complain. It's a blessing, but it's hard.
It is. It pays the bills. You got to be thankful. I mean, sometimes that's the thing. I mean, so many people are like, I just want to work a dream job. I mean, I feel like I have a dream job. I get to work for myself. I get to work on really amazing stories for, world-class clients. I mean, that's a dream. But there's also times that you're like, I'm taking jobs that I'm just like, I actually need to pay the bills too. Mm-hmm. And not everything I do is like glamorous and amazing. I mean, sometimes you need to, I don't want to call out what projects they are, but sometimes you got to just do stuff that's, you're not super stoked on, but you should be thankful for the work, and just be like, and
plus the wedding, I find, I mean, and you'll relate too, being able to be spur of the moment in like a different venue or an outside venue constantly and changing your settings is the same thing as when you're trying to find the best light or the best settings outside. So when you're hunting, it's a really neat, a strange, like what am I trying to say? Juxtaposition.
Yeah. It hit me like a while ago. I was trying to license a Suf John Stevens song like way back in the day. And are you familiar with his music? It's kind of popular now, but anyway, this guy named Lenny Smith, he's like this famous worship music, he's legend, anyway, in that world. He's super old and he's pretty quirky dude. And he has this what do you call it? A label called New Jerusalem Music. And so anyway, I got his phone number and I was calling him to like tell him like, hey, I used this song. I wanted to pay for it. And he's like, you need to take that down right now. So I take this wedding down offline, and I was all freaked out. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of, I'm doing weddings right now, but, I don't know. It's just where I'm at. I was all embarrassed, and he's like, you sound really embarrassed. Like my wedding was the greatest day of my life, and and just telling me, encouraging me to like, coming from him, I think this guy who works with so many creative musicians, I mean, Suf John and Danielson and all these crazy artists, that it was a cool reminder that like, there's a stigma with weddings where a lot of people are ashamed, and I've been that way to share that with clients, and but it is a pretty incredible day, and no matter who you're shooting, I mean, we've gotten to shoot some pretty crazy weddings too. I mean, thanks to weddings, we've shot in over 20 countries now, and it's like,
wow,
I would have never gone to Italy or Saudi Arabia or Switzerland or all these crazy places that because of weddings, I've gotten to meet people that I would have never met, and been a
I
part of
attended
it.
a conversation this past weekend with one of my shooters. We were saying like, yeah, you can get really jaded. It's like you feel like you're doing the same thing every weekend,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like you are capturing the best moment in someone's life. They've never gotten married most of the time, never gotten married before. This is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to them, and you get to
Totally.
save it for them. So
Right.
it's
Outside of having
special.
a baby, it is the
Yeah.
biggest day in their lives as a
Uh-huh.
family, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's cool.
It's
So,
a good thing.
still a part of our, I think it'll always be part of our business, unless things get crazy in another area, but we kind of see it as, so, and we have a team that, I shoot a handful myself, not as many as I used to, but I'm still a part of that whole process, and I like it. It's cool to mix it up, but it also gets me excited to go back to out in the woods and do something outside.
Sure.
And so I think as a creative, you need something that's mixing up your work, or else, creative people get bored easy.
Bored and overwhelmed with it, and just sort of just kind of sick of it. And you get burnt out on it. Really, is what it is.
I think it's just the nature of a personality.
But you put so much of yourself into it, as opposed to maybe just a 9 to 5 where you're sitting in a cubicle. Like you're putting your whole soul into something. So if you do that every single time, it can be draining.
Absolutely, yeah. And
I've got to tell a story, Ben, that since we're talking about mixing things up, if I can I talk about the 805?
Yeah. No problem.
Okay, so I talked to Ben about this, but I'm going to tell a little story about what happened that made this world really, really small. So I own a bar in Fort Collins. A lot of people know that. And we're connected to the brewing industry because there's so many microbreweries in Fort Collins, and it was really kind of one of the foundations of the craft brewing industry when it boomed in the late 90s.
Okay.
And so one of the guys that I've known for a long time that worked at New Belgium Brewing Company, Greg Owsley, I hadn't seen him in probably a decade. I'm in the DMV.
You're in the DMV?
I got that. DMV.
We can't hear you. So when you come back, tell us.
Man, I heard your. Did you lose me?
Yeah, start from the DMV. You're in the DMV.
Okay, so I'm sitting in the DMV's waiting room, and I see an old friend of mine in the beer industry, and we sit down and start talking. We haven't seen each other in probably 10 years. And he's like, yeah, I heard you're, in outdoor film production and things. So, and he said, we're really starting to utilize that in the beer industry now. Now he's on the national market level. He's a brand consultant, or he's a brand marketing guy.
Right.
Yeah. So I said, really? So what are some of your favorite videos in the beer industry now that are changing the way you guys are marketing these craft brewing brands? And he said, go to 805.com. I believe that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Go to their website and look at their videos. So I literally go to my phone and I'm watching these black and white films, and I looked at him, I said, that looks like a friend of mine named Ben Potter's film. And he looked at me and goes, Ben? And so this connection was made. He goes, that's who did these films. And I identified that, with your style. And he told me, to your credit, Ben, he told me that your films have literally like, what's the word he used? Like, supercharged the craft brewing industry. Like you've changed the way they market things. And your films have actually really done a lot of positive things for the brewing industry. So that was really cool. That was a great conversation.
That's cool. That was a really fun campaign. We kind of, I remember meeting Greg, and he had worked on some pretty cool commercials he showed me, and I was like, that's really rad. But they were very they're very polished, really. And I was kind of like, I think we should do stories. I mean, the beer that we're trying to push, it's already really popular. Just a lot of people because our area code's 805, obviously. And so, they were like, I was like, there's just a lot of unique people. I mean, everywhere there is. I mean, there's really unique stories everywhere. And but we living here, there's a lot of people that we knew, that they knew, and we're like, man, why don't we start like celebrating some of these stories and through the 805 brand. And that people that are already drinking the beer that, already a big fan of the brewery, Firestone Walker's the brewery that owns that beer. And it was, the first few were, obviously you could tell it's catching people off guard, like, oh, we don't really do this. And then it just picked up a lot of traction. And yeah, I mean, now I think they maybe do them in-house, so we're out.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Just, kind of.
Hey, you got them going. I mean, you put them.
Yeah, we did I don't know, 10 or 11, 12 maybe. I don't know. And it was good, man. I mean, that's fine. It's cool. Even if you can jumpstart a brand to thinking a different way and doing something different, and it's working, and you kind of teach them along the way. That's okay, And we had a good time doing it, and it was cool. The one of the owners, so Firestone, there's David Firestone, Adam Walker, the two gentlemen that own the brewery, and one of their wives, I think it was David's wife. I apologize, I don't remember her name, but she came up to me and saw one of our recent 805, and she's like, "Thank you for finally making our brewery cool." I was like,
That's exact. I think
cool.
that's what Greg said. You made it cool.
Yeah, and we started seeing, which was kind of fun to be a part of the drama, was we started seeing other breweries, instead of not being the same thing, even doing black and white, the same thing. And so here comes Tyler. There goes Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
If I share a quick thing about Tyler, I went to college with Tyler, and then he went to work for a surfboard company in Southern California, and then came back, and we were actually surfing in the water one day, and he was like, I just want to do something different. I just can't keep working this 9 to 5. And so I was like, man, I think there's a huge need for a lot of nonprofit type stuff out there, ministries or organizations that could use films to tell their stories. And so Tyler has taken that whole project upon himself, and there's this website called Halle Project, HALLE project.org. And so he's all over the world filming for nonprofits. And so Drew and myself have kind of worked with him and shown him what we've learned. And now he's doing as good. I just pull my headset out. I did. Hold on 1 second. Mm-hmm. There we go. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. He's doing his amazing work all over the world that, we couldn't do. So it's cool. It's a separate branch of what we do here. Anyway, it's cool with the 805 thing. Getting to see other companies kind of like, we've even seen I wasn't Coors, I think it was Bud Light, did something that was very close to something we had already done. We're like, that's crazy,
It's flattering. It's got to be. I mean, it's sort of like annoying because someone's doing what you're. Oops. Yeah. It's kind of annoying. It's got to be annoying to see someone doing what you're doing. Yet at the same time, that's the ultimate form of flattery too. When a brand like that sees your work and rips it off, man, that's big time.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it's funny you realize all these people are watching. Someone's watching that you think aren't watching, and so I don't know, it was fun, man, do something different, and we're always getting, random opportunities like that to do something out of the box, and
What's your favorite thing you've done? You do a lot of different things. One of my favorite things, like when you're kicking content out, one of my favorite things is your underwater stuff, because you like to skin dive and shoot underwater and spearfish, and and especially where you live in the murky, dark waters of kelp and all that crazy stuff. It's like I'm waiting for Jaws to show up, or some kind of big cold water shark. But what's your favorite thing to do, man?
I don't. Oh boy, favorite thing to film?
Whatever. What's your favorite thing to do?
Goodness gracious. I mean, I don't know. It sounds stupid, really boring, but I love spending time with my 2-year-old. He's great, and
we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, he's a little firecracker.
What's your favorite thing to shoot? What's your favorite thing to shoot?
I mean, spearfishing is pretty high up there. I mean, I don't know. Right now, I mean, I'm really into elk hunting right now. I'm like really love it. I mean, it's just I got the call in a bull for a friend like a few weeks back, and I got the call in a lot of elk this year, which is crazy. But I've gotten to spend time hunting with people that really know how to do it very well, and so that's been a huge asset to learning.
We have to mention the linguist. Obviously, we have to mention the linguist because,
one of my favorites. Yeah.
yeah, when that thing dropped, I remember contacting you. I sent you a text. I said, "Man,
Yeah.
that's
gonna
like one of
live
my
for a
favorite."
long time. Quite
Yeah.
possibly like the elk hunting film of forever.
That's my favorite elk video of
That's
all
cool.
time for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
That
got
was
to
cool,
hear that. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, and I got to hear that from a number of people, man. It was a huge reward. I mean,
The audio on that film was insane.
Yeah,
I like listening to your film.
yeah, I mean, that was a big one that when David Brinker, who was at Sitka, he would, produced it. And I mean, it was his idea. He came up with this. And I was in Arkansas. I remember when he called me, I was filming actually with Jimbo, and I just finished with him. And that was fun. Had a good old time with him. And he's a character. He's like, "You're kind of different, aren't you?" I was like, "What do you mean by that?"
You're kind of different.
Yeah. Hey,
he told me, "You don't know anything about duck hunting, do you?" I was like, "No."
No, he's great. I have awesome. He still texts me every once in a while, and it's fun to hear from him. But anyway, I was out there. Brinker calls and was like, "Hey, I got a doozy. I want to talk to you about it." And I'm like, I think I was in the field. We were just waiting for ducks. And like, I'm duck hunting right now, so I'll call you later. And but he was the big thing that got me excited was he was like, I mean, I want to create a piece that honors the history of elk calling. So very much of this is audio based, so the very high audio expectations for this film. And that's cool because it's something that gets overlooked a lot in film, outdoor filmmaking. Is just like treating the audio with the same care as the film, itself. And
it's huge.
And so
I can't imagine the level of difficulty in that, just setting all of this external audio equipment up and being on the move constantly, chasing the elk and carrying that into the
sound design.
field. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we worked with a friend who works for a very large, what do you call it? Agency here in town they have clients like Samsung and Apple. And anyway, he's just a badass with audio, and so he helped master the whole thing. And but infield, I mean, honestly, there's some parts you think are like shot with a really great mic, but some of it's just just crappy audio off the red. But it just worked. Yeah. And so you can I know it's hideous, but sometimes you can get it sounding, I don't know, there's just stuff we could do to make it creative. But I'll say, I mean, the film was a huge honor to create. I mean, I feel like, I hope it lives on for a long time, because not for my sake, just because I think it's a rich story, and I feel like I got to be a part of a much bigger story than just check out my new film. You know what I mean?
Several levels to it too. Very, very dynamic.
History.
Yeah, even that last
audio.
at the end of it. I mean, even through editing, I was getting just emotional through the editing of that with Corey and his son, and even I rewatched it even months after with some people that wanted to put it on, and I got teary-eyed. I was like, this maybe because I have a son now and I'm excited to experience something like that one day. But we were into season, we were in Idaho, public land, a lot of hunters out. We went out in the morning. There was a bull that wouldn't get fired up, and just bugling just wasn't there. And so we ended up driving a couple hours and got out, and Corey started calling, and we only had like an hour or less of daylight, and a bull answered like way back, and he's like, "What do you think?" I was like, "You want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's go." And so he runs and gets his bow, and then anyway, we take off after this bull. And I mean, it was the last thing that we thought was going to happen. I was thinking, I'm just going to get some cute father-son hiking footage, and out in the woods, and that's great. And but dude, we had this bull pop out. When he popped, now you got to understand, like, I had never elk hunted before making this film, and so I've seen some, at this point in the season, I've already seen like some pretty insane elk hunting go down, and then seeing this bull come out with one giant tine and 6-point, I was like, what is that? This mystical beast from the forest. Is like, has anyone ever seen this before? And then obviously, I guess it's, happens pretty often now. But anyway, it was rad to get to see that whole thing happen. I'm right behind Isaac. And I mean, after he shot that elk, his arrow just this rainbow of an arrow coming in and landing in there. And he's holding his fist up for, I swear, for like 10 minutes, just so amped on what happened. And it was just, I don't know, that's just, and getting to see him the next morning walk up on that bull. And I mean, Donnie, Corey's good friend, saw like, I think he saw like a big, we couldn't find a lot of blood. And then all of a sudden, about 500 yards away, we found some decent, really decent blood. And we're like, dude, he's right up. And Donnie looked at me, gave me the eye, like he's right at the head. And Isaac had no idea. And so he called Corey over, and then we all of a sudden we just let Isaac figure it out. And then he just, I don't know, it's just really cool to witness that as a filmmaker, you know, this very raw emotions. And, you know, Drew went so far beyond with the soundtrack on that. I mean, we hired a girl to come and play horns from Southern California. We hired a violinist to come in and play on it. I mean, it's like, you know, everything else was Drew's playing, you know. And the cool thing is Drew plays all real instruments too. So he's not just scoring out of whatever loops and stuff, you know. So
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we really gave it everything we had. And yeah. So
we have a question from Carmine here. He wants to know, do you ever shoot anything on film, or are you straight digital?
Oh no, yeah. I like to shoot I have like a little 35 millimeter. It's a Nikonos, made by Nikon. It's a waterproof 35 millimeter that I shoot like sporadically on it. And I don't really shoot and for my clients on that, just because of the turnaround digital needs. And I think for one, I haven't really made that a part of my brand or the work that I deliver being film. But I love shooting on film. And it's, yeah, and Nikonos camera is rad because it's waterproof. And so I'll actually spearfish with it. I'll like sometimes just clip it to my belt and dive and pop it out and shoot really gritty, you know, film shots underwater. Is fun to shoot, you know. I could probably dig some up and send them to you later if you wanted to share some. But
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I was when I was watching the Charlie Show, there was the part in there where they mentioned the shark like ate the duck 5 feet from the dog or whatever, and I was just like, I didn't even think about that, and I'm like, damn, like I really respect you, and like I follow Kimmy Swimmy. She's spearfishing and stuff. It's like that is some really adventurous stuff. I mean, the ocean is completely out of my element. I mean, like the bears, that's scary. The wolves are scary. Yeah. I'm scared of that too. But the ocean, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, there was we were filming this little film. It's called Hooked. Hooked? No. Yeah, I can't honestly. I should know the name of my films. And we were filming out in this place called the Channel Islands, and beautiful. It feels like you're in another country. And it's only about 10 miles off the coast of Ventura, just south of us a little bit. Mm-hmm. Incredible diving because clarity is amazing. There's tons of amazing fish. I mean, you can shoot giant halibuts and white sea bass and yellowtail. It's huge fish. And we were diving, and there's a lot of fish hole up in these little underwater caves. And I was down about 25, 30 feet doing these free dives. And then all the spearfishing I do is free diving, just because it's a lot like bow hunting. I mean, sound, if you have a snorkel tank or a scuba tank, you're very loud. Mm-hmm. It's very distracting. You can get way deeper, but obviously it's kind of maybe, I don't know if you'd compare it to rifle hunting to bow hunting, but it's just easier with the tank. And so I've really been drawn to free diving because of the challenge, you know, of like holding your breath and getting down and taking the shot, especially with a camera in your hand. That's, you know, if I can't dive as well as the person fishing and hunting, then I'm not going to get the shots I want. And anyway, we were diving, and I put my camera away and started fishing myself with my spear gun. And I came down in this little cave, and your eyes kind of adjust. It was really dark. I poked my head in this hole, and then great. And then I like see this fin, and I'm like, oh my god, I think. And then also I realized there's a shark sleeping in this hole. And I come up and I come to my friend and I'm like, hey, there's a shark in this hole down there. Would you shoot it? Because I'm, still learning how to spearfish, and I'm no expert at. And he's like, man, you better make a good shot, because that if you don't, you might lose a hand. And I came back down and I looked at him again. He's still sleeping, and he was about 4 or 5 feet in front of me, just probably about 7
It's like
7 foot
completely
shark.
alien to me. Like I see a shark, I'm like, let me go back down to it.
Yeah. Well, I think he would only. The thing with sharks is like, if they can see you, then they're probably not going to attack you. They're not like bloodthirsty. They're trying to kill everything they see. The times when they attack people is when they don't know what they're biting.
Sure.
And so there was a spot I dived south of here again that there was a video that kind of went viral. A dude, it was a really bad visibility, like 5 foot visibility, and this dude was spearfishing in that spot, and a big great white came up and bit his fin off of his foot. He didn't get bit, but it took his fin, and I guess he just like hustled with one fin back to shore, and holding his spear gun out toward. And this shark in the video, it's a big ass great white, and I don't know. Spearfishing is rad because it's you're totally in another world. I mean, you feel like you're in another place when you're bow hunting deep or something. You're like, oh, there's grizzlies around here. I got to be very careful and aware. But when you're in the water,
everything's better than you at that point.
You're just part of the prey at that, and a lot of times, and so there's some technology now. You can wear stuff that like sends like deters sharks. They're the way they, I don't know,
like the electronic things.
Yeah, you can do those. And then you wear a camo suit. A lot of times a camo suit will deter a shark a little bit, I've heard, because there was a lady diving or just swimming with seals in this harbor very close to where we live here, and several years ago, and she got hit by a great white and killed. She died. She got to shore and then she died on the shore because she's wearing a black wetsuit swimming with seals, and these sharks are eating seals every day. So it's like, I don't know. And usually it's the young sharks that make the attacks. It's not the old ones that know what's up. But that's crazy. I don't know. I don't do it a ton.
Underwater is crazy. There's a show that I work for called Into the Blue, and one of my friends, Jake Perry, who's our underwater guy, he was on a shoot that I couldn't make a few weeks ago. So they're sword fishing, deep sea sword fishing, right? Yeah. So they hook a swordfish. The swordfish comes up. Jake jumps in the water, and he's got a little Sea-Doo, a propeller device that gets him into the current and keeps him swimming with the current so he can get his shot. Yeah. And so he's got this thing in front of him, and he's got a GoPro on top, just capturing raw clips. And the swordfish, you can see it. It turns sideways and it sees him, and it turns right at him and flips his tail like 3 times and goes shoom, right at the camera. Spears the Sea-Doo. I forget what that little thing is called, but he spears it and breaks his bill off in this thing that was right in front of his face. Wow. So it's like, man,
dude, a lot of people die. They get pierced through the heart. A lot of divers have died shooting swordfish. I don't know about marlin, but they react when you hit them. If they take that wrong turn and jet right at you, you could be dead.
Oh man, it was wild. You can actually see it. I think it's on their Instagram page at Into the Blue. But that's some risky business.
Wow, yeah. That's gnarly. I don't know if I have it in me to try to shoot fish.
I guess you just never know because you're down there and sometimes you just don't know what's going to show up or happen, right?
When that El Nino year, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, we were getting a lot of warm water fish like swordfish, marlin up our way, which was odd. And we saw some marlins breach out of the water, which was just in where we were diving. And we were like, oh my gosh, they're here. Like this. But I wasn't set up with the right kind of gun. You need to have like a buoys connected to your line, so when that thing goes, it doesn't just go. I mean, you can't even hold on to the gun. And like I said, I don't want to pretend like I'm an expert. I never attempted that, and I'm not. You got to be at another level of endurance and awareness of how that hunt goes, because it's crazy.
So let's chat about something else that takes a massive amount of endurance and bravery, raising kids.
Yeah.
So you have a 2-year-old at home, right?
I do. Yeah.
How do you balance a very active traveling lifestyle with family? Because a lot of us are doing it, and a lot of us always feel like we're failing at it. So it's always interesting to hear someone else's perspective and relate.
Yeah. I don't know. I am in the middle of it, so I don't know. I'm still figuring it out with
It's like the
what
general
is-
consensus.
what's healthy, for I think what I've learned this year so far is what doesn't work. And
I know about all those things too.
yeah, I learned. So at one point, maybe I'll just paint the picture. We have a new film that we're coming out next year. It'll come out at Rocky Mountain Elks event in Salt Lake next year. It's a film on Larry D. Jones. It's kind of like an Elk Fever 3 tribute to the Elk Fever legacy. So we're pretty stoked on it. But it was about we spent about 3 weeks in the field with him, capturing elk hunting, and I spent about 2 of those weeks myself, maybe a little more, and then I had an archery tag for Wyoming, and so my plan was, over months of discussing with my wife, I'm gonna film, and then I can come home for a couple days and then drive back out to Wyoming, or I can stay and hunt and come home a little early. Well, we both decided, like, you just stay and come home a little early, and so it turned out to be close to a month that I was out for my boy, and it was just really, it just sucked hearing about, every morning you come in, I want dad, and or even like hearing from our daycare helper, he's just in a different mood and he's not the same, and you're like, oh God, it's just like sticks such a knife in you, and
It's disheartening.
yeah. So it was like, that was just too much. It was too long. At this point, I think partly because my boy's 2 and he can't communicate and understand everything, like what's going on, and so I guess I think one thing that's helped is I try to start communicating with my family early on and do everything I can to prepare everyone that this is a project and this is a time of year that I'm busier than most, and not that it justifies it, but it's, I think that's the little bit I can do to help ease the struggle. Because my wife works too. She cuts hair and does weddings and all that stuff, and so she's busy, and she has a career, and I don't want her to feel like I don't care about her career ever. She's helped keeps it all afloat just as much as I do, and yeah, I think just in the future, I guess I learned from that one. I want to just try to create some spaces, where I'm home, or maybe bring my family out to spend a handful of days with me.
Mm-hmm.
When we were filming The Linguist, that was a very full year of filming and a lot of back-to-back shoots. And at one point, I rented a cabin in Idaho, and the cow was 3 months old at that time, and him and my wife came out for 4 days, and we both in between another shoot that was going to come up. But that was really cool, and I kind of wish I would have done something like that with my hunt in Wyoming this last year. So yeah, I guess, how to balance it.
It's a difficult situation. I have Jess has a daughter. She's seven, right, Jess?
Yeah, when she was younger too, it almost seemed, it was hard because you were missing big moments, but she also didn't really understand as much. So, we have other family around and they're so helpful. And now that she's older and she understands the duration of time, she gets more upset. So that's always hard. So I don't travel as much now. But it's hard. But at the same time, I feel like when I was growing up, I would hear people's parents, my parents, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. And I feel like she'll respect me for following my path, but
Yeah.
still being a good mom. I think that there's
Right.
that good line, and I don't ever want her to feel like she shouldn't do what she feels that she's meant here to do.
You're right. Yeah.
It's a hard
Totally.
example to find that balance to set.
Absolutely.
When I was a kid,
Yeah,
go ahead,
No, no,
Ben.
no, 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 no. Go ahead. I want to hear
I was going to say, you know, when I was a kid, my dad was an international entrepreneur in
Wow.
the cultured pearl business, and he traveled a lot. And and I recognized that, you know, growing up, and I
Hold on a second,
recognized
Jake.
that love my dad had is what. Can you hear me?
Now,
I can hear you now. Yeah. So
Okay.
he was traveling a lot, and you recognized.
I recognized that then, looking back on it now, and I oftentimes compare, you know, that situation to what I'm doing now, and sometimes I don't know if it's right or wrong, but sometimes that, you know, I justify within myself. Well, me and my two sisters turned out okay, you know, because I'm constantly worried about missing like the first steps of my children and whatnot, and so it's a constant struggle. I've got a 23-day project that I've booked in January overseas, and I'm dreading it. It's like one of my top bucket list trips of all time, and I've been looking forward to this for years. I've been denied a visa for, you know, several times, and it's finally coming to fruition.
wow.
And it's still ahead of me in January, and I'm dreading it. Like I'm like, man, I'd almost be okay if an excuse came up that I couldn't go because of my family. So, man, I feel your pain. I feel everyone we talk to in this industry, and people that, you know, work hard and have to travel for what they do, go through the same things, and it's very difficult. So those people out there that think, and we don't take this the wrong way, viewers. We're living our dreams, but don't think it's always this easy peasy, you know, love affair with our jobs, because there are adverse conditions and situations that you know, make us second guess what we're doing at times.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think 100%. I mean, and I think it's been really cool for my wife, you know, Nicole, just not just showing my appreciation for her holding it down at another level when I'm gone, but she's as much of a part of these trips and encouraging me along the way. I mean, I was in Idaho, not Idaho, I was in Wyoming, and just going through stuff, hunting by myself for about almost 5 days. And, you know, you're just in your own head, and a little bit that I would like in reach text her, you know, and be like, this just happened. And she's encouraging me to on certain stuff, just seeing it from a different angle. I mean, that was huge, you know. And I think, you know, I don't know. It's just like, even, you know, it's kind of a long story. I don't know if I want to share it on this, but went through quite a roller coaster of a deal elk hunting this year. And at the end of it, I was extremely stoked on some aspects, and then some stuff was really hard that went down. Long story short, a guy that was trying to help us get my bull out, his horse slipped and fell down a mountain and died, and shattered my head, and his horse died. And I wasn't even there because I was coming home early from my elk hunt and so Joel was there. It was just like very heavy, and I was a mess at home, and she was like, you know, obviously that's a long story, but I was just like not myself. I was being kind of an asshole. And she's like, you know what? If you treat this like this is all wasted, and you're pissed, and you're angry about what happened, and then you're making this whole month of you being gone not a waste of time. It's wasted. All of a sudden, it feels like I wasted my time, taking care of Cal and my business. And she's like, you got to think of all the amazing things that happened on this trip, and I want to be happy for you, and I want to celebrate that with you. You know, and it was kind of like this realization of like, wow, like I'm so selfish. Like I'm making this all about forgetting that she's there to celebrate with me and mourn with me, you know, on these certain things that go down. And if I rob her of that, I mean, how unfair is that? You know, because even though she may be at a distance, she's still very much like connected to this hunt and this or the film, you know, or whatever I'm working on, you know. And she's my biggest fan. I mean, she's always so proud of you and love this film and this is so cool or whatever, or tell me it sucks. You know, she's very honest with me. Like, this doesn't make sense. You know, why'd you do that? You know, and I really appreciate that. You know, I don't want, you know, you got to have people that look at your work and aren't afraid to hurt your feelings, or else you don't, you know, it's not helpful for everyone to say how great you are or how, you know, it's like, we don't need yes men in our life, or women, you know. It's like we need people that are just honest. And trying to create real work, I want real criticism, you know.
100% agree. God bless our wives and husbands that do hold the fort down with crazy kids and, you know, all the things that come with that while we're out, you know. I mean, literally living out our dreams, and you know, we're paying the bills and a lot of the bills and bringing that home into the table as well. But, you know, if it weren't for the good partner, and I've been through the other side of it where it didn't work out, and that's no fun at all. And so, yeah, God bless your wife, and you know, just hearing you say that is huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, even I don't know, it's just a team effort. You know, it's funny. I used to frown on guys that were stay-home dads for some reason, just a stupid thing. And I was lately though, having Cal, I'll be at a park, I'll be playing, and some other dad will come up, and we'll just start small talking, and the kids are playing, and what do you do? You know, oh, I just take care of my kid. You know, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm pumped. I mean, because that's a job, and I don't know. I have way more respect for the guys that, hey, my wife's got an epic job. It makes sense for me to do this. I mean, that's all right with me. I mean, maybe several years ago, I would have had a way snobbier attitude toward that. But it's whatever. I think it's just like whatever makes the team work, you know. Mm-hmm. And so for me and my wife, like, I watch my boy one day a week. We have a daycare for part of that, and she watches part of that. It's just a team effort, and I know. So then when I have a trip come up, obviously we got to do a little bit more coordinating and figuring out. You know, we don't have family close by, so we got to figure all that out. But, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we've got close family, but then at the same time, my husband runs an incredibly busy business, and then we have my businesses. So it's just like we're constantly on the go here. So when either one, and it's very even the amount of responsibilities. So when one of us leaves, it's just like,
yeah,
it's heavy.
yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I get stressed out when I got a couple days watching him. You know, she's out. So sometimes she does weddings out of the state or out of the country. Sometimes it's crazy, and I'm just freaking out. And then I forget, like, she was here a month with this kid and trying to hold it down and stay sane. And he's just at that age too. You know, he's
constant.
Oh man, I'm like texting my wife if I have to stay with all three of my kids. I'm texting my wife. I go, "What time are you coming home?"
Yeah, like, what do you feed them again? They're like, yeah.
It's like,
oh, totally. I know. I'm like, all right, we're out of pouches. What else does he eat? And they're like, what? How many did you give him? You know. Like, well, I'm gonna make some bacon. Should I give him that? Do you think he'd eat that?
We're lucky because mine's on school now, so for most of the day she's at school.
Nice.
But she's always grown up either being watched by close family, or we work at home at our office, so she comes in and we interact all day long. So it's always mom, dad, mom, dad, and it's hard for her to understand, like, when somebody's gone or when we're both busy. It's like there's no clear line of separation. We really move our whole life. Our whole life is just like this mesh of everything all day long. It's insane.
It's a great though. I mean, it's a good
I wouldn't
challenge.
have it any other way. I mean, we're lucky, but it's crazy busy.
Yeah.
We're starting to get close to the end of the show here. We're starting to run out of time, but wanted to ask you, Ben, what you got going on in the future? What do you see coming down the pipe here?
Yeah. So I mean, man, there's always a lot moving. We got a elk film coming out next year that we're really excited about. It's another legacy piece, on Larry D. Jones and some of his company from the old original Elk Fever films. And I mean, the dude's 77 and was crushing mountains like for 2 weeks straight with me. I could not believe it. And
Wow.
he's a beast, and he's just an awesome guy. I learned a lot hunting with him. And, I was asking so many questions personally about elk hunting. He's like, I see why you wanted to do this. You wanted to learn and how to, like, heck yeah, I do. And so he's sending me books. I think all my friends will send me a podcast to listen to, but Larry will send me, you got to read this book. I'm like, oh wow, book, paper. Who does that?
What is that?
Yeah, I'm like, awesome. I'm gonna buy this book. And anyway, so they got that. I'm excited for that. I mean, we got waterfowl seasons cooking up now, and we've got a project that we're pretty excited about. It's called Hunt 41, and a few other guys from the Northwest had reached out about making a film about capturing all 41 species of waterfowl. And so we've kind of taken that film idea, and we're going to be launching a website about hunting every one of these birds and creating films and photos. And it's, I'm kind of heading up the content side of it, but we're looking to create something that will last. It will be a resource, will be entertainment. Just be a community spot to bring waterfowlers together to celebrate all of these different species and all of the weird, cool, crazy niches of waterfowlers out there. It's more than just 4 flyways. There's just all these little pockets that we kind of feel like need to be celebrated, and I've done that sporadically, with my work. It's like here all over doing different timber and East Coast or, Northwest, whatever. It's rad, but we're trying to create something that like brings that all together into one spot. And so we haven't announced this. This is kind of one of the first public announcements of it. We're going to be coming out with more on it in early November. And but it's we got a fun season planned ahead, capturing. We're not going to do them all in one season. We thought about that, but we kind of
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I was like, after elk season, if I want to stay married, I better not do that. And also, I think I don't know. I just want to hear. I'm excited to hear from people around the nation about that are excited about this as well, that want to be a part of the project. And like I said, I'm like leading the content as far as like organizing it and shooting, obviously, but I'm excited to get other photographers contributing and filmmakers contributing to the project in good time. So, I think, yeah, thanks a lot. Sorry, water's being delivered. You can pop the off. Yeah, cool. Get new water.
That sounds like a highly educational project.
Yeah.
And maybe, open some people's eyes that may be pigeonholed into certain cultures or certain species or whatever it is, and open up a bigger picture for everyone. I think that's the kind of thing that can benefit the entire waterfowl industry from manufacturers on down to filmmakers, because it opens up a lot of new doors and opens up minds to what's out there.
Right. Yeah. And I think we're trying to create like there'll be a forum within it too, a community, and a part of that is, going to be education with like this kind of what you guys are doing, and like trying to help. I want people to make better films out there, and I want people to feel okay to ask questions. And I get a lot of questions, and I try to answer all of them, and because I don't know, people have helped me along the way. It wasn't like I just was born with, it's a combination of doing your own research and figuring it out. And then also, asking people that you respect and like their work to help you. And I think especially as hunters and fishermen, we want to help each other out in every way possible. And so, I hope this site can be entertaining, following this journey, as well as like just a really solid community of waterfowlers that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I really see a super great hub that brings waterfowlers together. There seems like there's a lot in the big game area.
Mhm.
I love Go Hunt. I spend way too much time reading articles, from all their contributors and researching on that. But with waterfowl, I haven't, at least I haven't, and maybe that's my own negligence. I just haven't looked hard enough. But we just hope this can be something that contributes to the greater waterfowl community. I hope just get outside of the camps and the brands that sometimes just pigeonhole people and put those blinders on to see, like, dude, there's a lot more out there than just these small niches that we kind of bury ourselves in sometimes, and we just want to celebrate that. So yeah, pretty stoked. So awesome. that'll take up the fall, and I don't know, we'll see what happens in the spring. But
so give all your links, all your websites a shout out. Where can people follow your work if they're not following it already?
Okay, so Kana Outdoors, CANA Outdoors.com is my website. Same name for Instagram. I'm not very good at Facebook. I don't have much going on there. You could probably find some embarrassing old photos, maybe.
Can we find those squirrel hunting videos there?
I don't think so. I think I've done a good job of burying those. So I'm probably gonna get someone asking for it that wants to, like, bury my business. For some reason. You'll see it go live the day I quit. So
there you go.
I might send it to you guys. So,
awesome.
But there you go. Confidentiality agreement, NDA and all that good stuff. What else? I don't know. I mean, if you want to see our wedding work, it's canafamily.com, CANA family.com. Halle Project, our nonprofit work, for Tyler heads up. It's HALLE project.org. And then we have general commercial work. You can find that at Kana Creative, CANA-creative.com. And that's like our general commercial work that we do for clients that aren't outdoors or weddings. So, yeah.
And if you want to watch his films that were branded films, like for Sitka, you can go to Sitka's website, Tangle Free's website, 805 Beer's website, and check out his films that that are branded, and they're fabulous.
And the Charlie Show just dropped yesterday, right?
Yeah. We just had 2 films come out that we're pretty pumped on. We had the Charlie Show yesterday with Tangle Free. So if you go to the Tangle Free site, you can see theirs. We also did one with Gunner Kennels, and just about their story. And Addison over there shared his story with Gunner, his dog. An awesome story that I was really moved by. And so you can see that at Gunner Kennels. Who else? We got to do a lot of really cool stuff with Sitka recently with their wader launching. Barton Ramsey with Southern Oak Kennels. We did a story on him. An awesome guy, just inspired by all his passion for dogs and UK Labradors. And so you can check all that out at Sitka Gear. I don't think I got like one more duck piece that I'm gonna put out. It's a bunch of footage over the last 3 years that just a lot of people are like, I want to see something longer. So this is for you, for those who want to see something longer. It's not really for any one brand. It's more for my friend who owns this amazing property in Eastern Washington, who's always been so gracious to let me come up and hunt. And it's kind of like one of those duck heavens of just stuff you dream about when it comes to duck hunting. It's one of my favorite hunts of the year because we eat really good and we shoot a lot of ducks. And it's really fun. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's the opposite of grinding it out in the sweat line for me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. But
I think I can speak for a lot of people out there, our viewers, fans, producers, directors, photographers, everybody out there. We all love your work, Ben. We really appreciate who you are. That's something I always wanted to point out. You and I have talked a few times, and you've always been a very open and generous and honest person. And I just want you to know that, and we really appreciate everything that you've done. You do fabulous work, and
thank you.
And I can't wait to see the next one.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, it's the same here. I know I always respect you guys' work, and thanks for having me on. It's been a good time. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for joining us. I had a blast talking with you, getting to know you better. We we're kind of in the same space, but I don't think I've ever gotten to sit down and actually have a conversation with you. So this has been an awesome experience, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your stuff that you put out.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, take care. Take care of that little guy.
Awesome. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ben. Take care, buddy.
Okay. See you soon.
That was awesome.
That was fun. Yeah, we got into a little bit of a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Lots to talk about. We'll have to have him back on sometime too. It was really interesting. It's entertaining and things that I think a lot of people can relate to, whether they are in this industry or just looking from the outside in. So.
Yeah, I think Ben is, one of those creative minds that stands out. We talked about this before, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but he's so creative. He's one of my favorite film producers in the outdoor space, and
very authentic.
He is very, very authentic, and it would be very difficult for someone to rip his stuff off because it's so real and raw. So yeah, kudos to him. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
great guy.
So you can find this episode up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/outdoor cameraman experience. That'll be up shortly. Interact with us and with Ben on the Facebook post. We'll be answering questions and we'd like to read your comments. So keep up with us. And I don't know what else is new to share today.
I got to get back to a bow hunt.
I'm going back out this afternoon too. I saw 9 deer this morning, which in this spot was pretty spectacular. So
number 10
is the one I want.
Yeah, you texted me the video and I was very impressed. I'm like, if that deer walks under me with my recurve, it's gonna be trouble for him.
He's lucky. There's a particular fellow on my mind from that stand, so we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you for hanging in there with me, Jess. You do a great job with all the technical, the whole platform and everything. And man, I'm like literally, I'm like as remote as I can be in the United States, and I appreciate you hanging in there and controlling all these factors.
Hey, in 2 weeks we may be in the same location. We're hoping that we'll be able to get a remote show out from where we're going to be hooking up in a couple weeks. So that should be interesting. We'll see how that one goes. Jake's frozen.
Speaking of technical issues.
Well, it's a good show. We will catch up again, and I think that's it.
Good luck. Good luck in the stand this afternoon, Jess.
All right. Bye, Jake.